Hello everyone, back tuning to the Easter Bank Holiday Monday historic weather video at GavsWeatherVids. So here we go, it's Bank Holiday Monday, it's time to bring you another historic weather video. We haven't done one since Christmas Day. Can you believe that, everyone? No historic video since Christmas Day's epic historic video. That was absolutely amazing historic video, wasn't it? But this one's going to be good, hopefully, fingers crossed anyway. So we're going to be looking at the winter of 2013-14 for this one. Very, very stormy winter. Not cold. If you're a cold lover and you like snow, you're not going to see much in the way of cold and snow in this one. It's gonna be stormy and mild and wet. So if you don't like that, then look away now. Get behind the sage lawn. That's what I suggest. But I should get on with the historic video for you in a second. Just to say that, of course, on a Bank Holiday Monday, it's always a very, very special day for, that you check in with me and that you spend this time with me. I'm always amazed that people want to spend some of their bank holiday and family time, holiday time with me, with GavsWeatherVids. So to be serious for a moment, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. And I just hope you're having a lovely Easter, man. You had a lovely Easter as well. So thank you so much to all of you. Right, so I've got to say thank you to wettercentral.de or futtercentral.de and also Trevor Harley. I'm in one of those moods tonight. And Trevor Harley as well. So I could not do these without, the archive of charts from Wet Central and also without the information that comes from Trevor Harley. So I'm like the smallest cog in the wheel with these historic weather videos, and I just sort of narrate the story. But the thing that really makes it work is like the information from Trevor Harley combined with the charts from Wetter Central. So thank you so much to Trevor Harley and also to Wetter. You can find the link to both websites on the links page at GavsWeatherVids.com and also in the description, and on the links page at Discord, of course, on our Discord server, and in the description as well. Right, I think that's pretty much everything that I've got to tell you. Shall we crack on with this historic weather video? I think we're better, don't you? So I'm going to begin this in July of 2013 for no other reason than it was an absolutely incredible July. Very, very hot, one of the hottest months of the last decade. And as we're here and as we're looking at 2013-14, I thought, why not begin it in July and just go over these amazing hot charts once again from the hot July of 2013. July 2013 had a CET of 18.3. It was a very hot month. It was the warmest since 2006, and it was the 6th hottest ever, with only 1921, 1976, 1983 and 2006 having been hotter. We actually begin quite unsettled with low pressure just out to our west, coming in from off the Atlantic Ocean, and this low pressure pushes through as we go through the opening days of July 2013, bringing spells of rain. But as early as the 4th of July, we're beginning to get a ridge from the Azores beginning to move into southwestern and west parts of Europe. And here we go from the 5th through to 6th of July. High pressure takes over. This is the beginning of the heat wave. Trevor Harley writes there's a notable heat wave with a prolonged period of high temperatures from Saturday the 6th of July through to Wednesday the 24th of July, when 28 Celsius or more was recorded at one or more location on each of those 19 days. And the last time the UK saw such a long period of hot weather was in August 1997. Again, 19 consecutive days. So here we go. Take a look at these if you're a summer lover. This is it. Look at that. 1035 millibar area of high pressure right over top of the UK. Baking hot day after day with temperatures around or above 30 degrees. Just continuously. We're up to the 13th July now, 14th, 15th, and on the heat wave goes. It's absolutely amazing, and it came out such a prolonged run of cold weather as well. The first half of 2013 was very cold, so it came as a big surprise. I think took everybody by surprise that we went into July and we have this massive area of high pressure just setting up and bringing loads of dry, fine and hot weather. Highest temperatures during the hot spell was on the 22nd of July when we got to 33.5 degrees, which was recorded at Heathrow and also at Norfolk too. 17th was hot day 2, 32 degrees at Hampton in London. The 19th of July saw the highest temperature for Northern Ireland at 30.1 degrees, 86 Fahrenheit, and Scotland maxed out at 29.7 at Fife. Wales had a maximum of 31.4 degrees at Porthmadog. I probably pronounced that wrong. That place always trips me up. Right, so we're coming to the 22nd of July. The heat wave is beginning to break. Here we go. The high pressure of Scandinavia. Low pressure is developing out to the west and also to the south of the country as well. So thunderstorms are now beginning to break out, and as we go into the final week of July, it gets more and more thundery, low pressure taking over from the west. Big storms, big storms breaking out here as we go into the closing days of July. We try and pull the heat back up from the south, actually. Try to get the heat back up from the south. It just doesn't quite happen, and this low pressure just turns things increasingly funny. I remember this day, 27th July 2013, as being particularly stormy here in Northampton. Some really big thunderstorms on this day. Absolutely torrential. Ever right, so wettest day was the 27th, which saw an average of 24 millimetres, with Derbyshire reaching 89 millimetres on that day, again from torrential thunderstorms. It was also the second sunniest July on record since 2006, and St Helier had 327 hours of sunshine. But what an end to the heat wave this was. I remember this day so well. Saturday 27th July 2013. The storm started around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was still going on here in Northampton like 8 o'clock at night. Generally, over the past few years, the heat waves, have ended very disappointingly here in Northampton. I think this was the last time we had a real classic end to a heat wave, to a prolonged hot spell on that day, Saturday 27th July 2013. I remember that so well, like over 2 inches, probably 3 inches of rain falling here in Northampton. It's absolutely amazing. Now, it comes to the end of July 2013, and the Atlantic has broken through, but not the end of the heat, actually, because we're going to early August. You actually pull up hot air from the south. Once again, August 2013 has a CT of 16.9. Overall, it's a warmer than average month. It's warmest since 2004. The warmest day is actually this day, the 1st of August, at 34.1 degrees, which is actually the hottest day of the summer, amazingly. So it's hotter than any day in the heat wave, but of course it's only a one day of the heat wave in July. It's only a one day wonder. The reason for that is that this low pressure very quickly sweeps the heat away, but pulls up from the south on the 1st. So we go through August 2013. It's a rather mixed month, low pressure out to the northwest, bringing spells of rain. Nowhere near the high pressure fest that we have in July. We do try and get back to higher pressure at times, but as we run through these charts, you'll see that overall August 2013 is a rather mixed month. And again, so often August is the month that sort of lets the side down after a hot July. We get a poorish August, and this is another one of those examples. Although we're CT at 16.9, you can't really say that it's that bad, but I mean it's much more mixed, to say the least, compared to the July preceding it. We do get some higher pressure though, particularly later on in the month. As we go to the bank holiday of 2013, the August bank holiday, we actually have a lot of dry and warm weather during that bank holiday. So a little bit of a classic sort of high pressure type bank holiday in 2013, and certainly I think the last stages of August 2013 was more towards higher pressure compared to the opening. So we finish August 2013 on a reasonably dry and fine note. I thought as we were going to do 2013-14, we really had to start this. We had to start this like at the beginning of in the summer. We had to begin in the summer Really. So I hope you enjoyed that. We have deviated a little bit, gone off on a bit of a tangent in these opening 10 minutes or so. But I hope you enjoyed having that look at the summer. Right, let's get on with the autumn and the winter then. So we begin September 2013, which has a CT of 13.7. It's actually a relatively coolish September for the year, about average. We begin it with high pressure dominating weather. Certainly no signs of stormy weather. Of course, you know that I like through the autumn to look for signs of what's going to happen in the winter, and very often you do get signs of what's going to happen during winter in the autumn, and we do in this autumn as well of 2013. When we get to it, I'll tell you about it. But we start off the year under high pressure, actually, for September 2013. So Trevor Harley writes that September 2013 is generally quite a dry and cool and dull month, really, with a CET of 13.7, which is actually about average. It's not too bad, but certainly compared to like the Septembers within the era, it's not the best. However, it's an early short, very warm spell of weather. So, of course, you got ridge from the Azores higher here into the west of Europe, and this area of high pressure does take over through the opening days of September 2013 and brings a lot of very warm to quite hot weather up from the south. So the high pressure is over sort of Germany and Poland. Up come these southerly winds. So yeah, you know, the opening days of September 2013 actually have the highest temperatures. On the 5th of September 2013, we reached 30.2, 86 Fahrenheit near Chelmsford in Essex as we draw up this southerly wind. So very, very often, you know, the first week of September will give some hot, fine, sunny conditions. September 2013 is another classic example of that. I always say, why don't they move Glastonbury Festival to like the first weekend of September? If they did, they would avoid the mud bath. You know, most years would avoid the mud bath if they moved the Glastonbury Festival to the first weekend of September. But anyway, so we're through to I'm off on a tangent. I'm so sorry, buddy. Through the 6th of September, and low pressure's broken through, and it's taking showers and longer spells of rain with it. Obviously, the air rapidly cools down as we are now into September. So push your low pressure through, lower the temperature quite significantly. Then the rest of September 2013 is just rather unsettled, really. So Joe Harley writes, the 6th of September was colder and wet in places, with Durham seeing 45.6 millimetres of rain in 12 hours. Conditions were also bad at North Yorkshire, at Saltburn, which was hit by flash flooding, sweeping cars out into the sea, apparently. Wow. 71 millimetres fell in Middlesbrough, and 64.0 millimetres fell at Redcar. I wonder if Richard remembers that. Richard might remember that. My good friend Richard might remember that. 64 millimetres on the 6th of September 2013. Let's run through and see what happens after that then. So we go into the second week of September, and we gradually start to build this high pressure in from off the Atlantic. So you see what the position of high pressure has changed though, hasn't it? So the ridge is generally to our west-southwest, which brings in more of the west-northwesterly type flow here as we go through the second week up to the middle part of September, which allows low pressure to regularly come in from off the Atlantic. So this is 15th of September with a bout of wet and windy weather pushing in off the Atlantic Ocean, and turning wind or keeping wind and the jet stream alignment in the northwest southeast sort of trajectory. So it's a much more unsettled sort of month, September 2013, and rather on the cool side as well. However, we're coming into the latter stages, and we are beginning to get some higher pressure building up from the south. So later on in the month, this is 23rd of September, a nice ridge of high pressure is taking over now, and Trevor Harley writes that the minimum this month, or the low minimum, was minus 2.4 degrees in Kinbrace, Sutherland, early on the 6th, and Braemar on the 26th as well. The lowest maximum was 8.5 degrees at Braemar on the 19th. Total England Wales rainfall of 61.0 millimetres, which was 79% of average. A little bit drier than average, despite having a rather unsettled flavour. It doesn't really write anything about this period, but I think this is probably quite a warmish latter part of the month in September 2013. So we're moving into the last week of the month now, and we're finding high pressure beginning to push northwards. Signs of northern blocking. Is that a hint for the winter? Is that a hint for the winter, northern blocking? No, it isn't at all, really. And we get through to the end of September 2013. We've got high pressure at Scandinavia, low pressure out of the Atlantic. So a bit of battle is taking place. Is this a hint for the winters? Easterlies from a Scandinavian high, maybe. Could that be hints of the winter? Not really. I don't think it is. Let's carry on then. Let's move through to October. And October has a central temperature of 12.5. It's a very mild month, and this gives us our first sort of indications of what's going to happen during this winter. So we begin October 2013 with high pressure to our east, low pressure to our west, drawing up these southerly winds. So it's a mild opening to October 2013. Also, it's also a relatively dryish opening as well. It's going to be an unsettled month overall, though. Trevor Hardy writes it's an unsettled month, and overall quite a mild month as well, but cooler and drier in the second week. The highest temperature of the month is actually early on. It's on the 8th of October, where we get to 23 degrees, 73 Fahrenheit, at Skegness on the 8th. But the lowest temperature of the month is minus 3.6 degrees at Dalwhinnie on the 12th. So big changes here. We start off with low pressure breaking through, bringing spells of rain in from off the Atlantic. Then the Azores High tries to ridge up. That turns us mainly dry and also pulls up the warmth from the south. So you see how the temperature gets into the low 20s, especially for England and Wales. Scotland and Northern Ireland is a little bit more unsettled. And that's where we get that temperature 23 degrees at Skegness there on the 8th. Now the high pressure then pulls out into the Atlantic, and we bring this northerly down. So as we go into the second week of October 2013, it does turn a lot cooler with high pressure out to our northwest, winds in from the northeast. It's very hint for the winter, maybe northerly winds. It isn't really, but here we go on the 11th of October with high pressure to our north, winds in from the east. Obviously we're drier now, but we're also a lot cooler as well. Begins to more unsettled around the 13th. Low pressure starts to drift in from the east. That brings spells of rain in from the east as well. So cool and unsettled really as we're running into the middle part of October 2013. And then we get into the second half of the month and the Atlantic begins to break through. So it's still got relatively high heights from the northern latitude. Still got a bit of blocking, but really it's low pressure now starting to show its hand from the Atlantic. So we're up to the 18th of October, just after my birthday, of course, just after Gav's birthday. And we've got low pressure out to our west, brings spells of rain in from the Atlantic. The wind is still in from a southerly direction, so it is going to be relatively mild here during this period. But yeah, we're drawing up southerly winds, so it's mild, but it is unsettled with low pressure out to our west. So we're moving into the final sort of 10 days or so of the month, and low pressure now really breaking through. Deep low pressure from the Atlantic, pushing in from off the Atlantic, bringing outbreaks of rain, quite a mild southerly southwesterly wind as well. And this low pressure is bringing quite a lot of persistent rain across the country once again. Now we're running into the closing days of October 2013, and this is where the winter pattern begins to show its hand slightly, perhaps. Trevor Harley writes, there was a notable destructive storm in the south on the 27th and 28th of October, nicknamed St. Jude's. Do you remember St. Jude's? Let me know in the comments if you remember St. Jude's storm from October 2013. Here we are on the 26th. Deep low pressure. We're going to see a lot of this. Going to see a lot of this in the coming minutes. Deep low pressure in the North Atlantic, and in come these westerlies on the 26th, 27th. Look at this. We're getting a little feature developing along the jet stream, Sting Jet. And that feature then develops into St. Jude's storm. There is St. Jude's storm. Let's go back, actually, have a look. This is midday. Let's have a look at the midnight chart for the 28th of October. 28th of October 2013. We should be able to see St. Jude's running in across south. There it is. That's St. Jude's storm. Brings severe gales, destructive winds up the south coast. Very similar in some ways to the October 1987 storm, but it wasn't quite as destructive as that. But kind of taking a very similar path and trajectory. This is how we've landed up with like named storms as well, I think, because the media did this. The media called this St. Jude's storm. St. Jude's storm. I do not know why. If anybody knows where that came from, maybe that day is St. Jude's Day or something, I don't know. But it's the media that dubbed this St. Jude's storm. And ever since then, of course, it's just stuck. You know, the storm naming thing has stuck. And the Met started picking it up and doing it officially, which I suppose is the proper way. If the media papers are going to start naming areas of low pressure and storms, then it's got to be done properly, hasn't it? And so the Met picked up the baton and started naming them themselves, along with Met Air and also the Dutch Met Service. But anyway, we get St. Jude's storm there, like in the crazy days of October 2013, and that is a heads up. That's the heads up of what's going to happen during this winter. Destructive winds, severe gales, bouts of heavy rain. That's the first one. That's the first storm of the winter of 2013-14. We come to the end of October 2013, and in comes low pressure off the Atlantic, bringing further bouts of wind and rain as well. Right, let's carry on and move into November 2013. See what's going to happen in November. So November 2013, after that very mild October, November is actually nearer normal. It's a rather coolish month, really, with CT of 6.2. Not overly cold, but, you know, it's a lot cooler compared to the October before it. And unsettled too. Further bouts of rain here during the opening of November 2013, bringing further spells of rain and gale force winds at times. Quite cold as well, but jet streams flying up northwest southeast, so we are we are lining up a northwest-southeast alignment to the jet stream and pulling cool air into the north at times, but it's these areas of low pressure that continue to move in during the first week to 10 days of November 2013. Joe Harley writes, it's a cold, dry and sunny month, so I'll get some higher pressure shortly. The highest maximum of the month is 16.5 degrees at Exeter on the 6th of November, and the lowest minimum temperature, I should say, is minus 8.1 at Braemar on the night of the 24th, 25th. That's probably colder than anything through the winter. I wouldn't be surprised if we never get down to minus 8 again during the winter itself. Trevor Harley says it's the coldest spell was in the week starting the 19th. So we'll have a look at that in a moment. Let's see what happens. So low pressure seems to bring further bouts of rain here during this first half, or the second week, I suppose, first half of November. But up to the middle of the month, some higher pressure building up from the southwest now. So this is how it's up down drier with higher pressure pushing up from the southwest. But you think that's quite a mild ridge, really, because the air remains from the Atlantic. But on the 18th, look at this, we're beginning to pull the heights out into the Atlantic and start to bring colder air in from the north. So yeah, we're going into the third week, or into the third week of November. We are getting colder winds coming in from the north, and so this is how things get colder, therefore. High pressure out in the North Atlantic to south of Greenland, low pressure in the North Sea. That's pulling down, I mean, not particularly cold, but it is pulling down colder air from the north. And so Trevor Harley writes that the maximum at Caister Roxburghshire, I think that is, on the 22nd was just 0.5 degrees. This day was virtually an ice day, just 0.4 of a degree of being an ice day. At Carterbar, Carterbar. England and Wales had an average rainfall through this month of 63 millimetres, that's 61% of long-term average, so it's getting another pretty dry month. Sunshine average at 86 hours, that was 123% of average. So yeah, you know, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad month, really, just a little bit on the cool side. High pressure taking over as we come into the final week of the month, keeps it mainly dry and fine, and probably starting to bring milder air in around the top, especially across Scotland and maybe Northern Ireland too. But we end November 2013 on a little bit more of a mixed note, but still of an anticyclonic influence. So no sign at this point of big storms to come. But it's not going to be long. I'm going to pause the video there. We're talking 25 minutes. I'll pause the video there. And when we return, we've done all the setting up. When we return, we're going to have a look at some of these areas of low pressure that we had during the winter of 2013. And my God, were there a lot of low pressures during this winter. You're going to see it. Relive it. I suppose you remember it. I do. But we're going to relive it together. If you want, you may not want to, but we'll do it in a moment. I'm going to pause the video there, and I'll see you in a sec. Okay! What are we doing? We're back. Hello, good evening. Thanks so much, everybody, for being here on this historic video. What was that? I don't know. What was Gav doing there, I wonder. Right, we're back on our historic video for winter 2013-14. We've done all the setting up. We started off in the summer because I wanted to show you those amazing charts for July 2013, wanted to include that. And we've done all the setting up for the autumn, and now it's time to have a look at this winter. So shall we do this? Shall we have a look at the winter of 2013-14 and bring back some memories for you? Let's do it! Right, so this is how things are set up on the 1st of December 2013. High pressure centred right over top of the UK and Ireland too. So this is a very mild December, and also stormy and windy and wet. Charlie writes, a wet, windy, stormy month with a great deal of flooding and some notable storm surges. Overall, a very mild month at 6.3. But not as mild as 2006 in recent years. It's also a very wet December with an England-Wales average of 133 millimetres, 136% of average. And wouldn't you know it, for such a wet month, we actually begin on a very dry note. This high pressure is not going to last. Let's see what happens. So into the opening days of December 2013, the high pressure rapidly weakens. Low pressure begins to move in from the Atlantic. Here we go. This is the first sort of bout of wet and windy weather here on the 5th of December. Low pressure runs down the North Sea, and that turns the wind into the north. That brings cold air down from the north, actually. This is one of the coldest periods of the coldest snaps of the winter, to be honest. Bringing this northerly wind in, showers down to stormy north. There's been a storm surge, I think, down the east coast as well. So I remember that quite clearly, that we get some, storm surges down the east coast, down the North Sea coast here, on the 5th of December 2013. We go through to the 6th of December, take that low pressure away, get a ridge building from the west once again. So high pressure is trying to hang on desperately. The high pressure is trying to keep going, but and this does actually give us our coldest night of the month as well, at minus 6.0. At Dalwhinnie on the night of the 5th to the 6th. So this is like the coldest period of the month. The high pressure clinging on by its fingertips, but it's not going to be able to for much longer. Look at this. We're moving into the second week of December, and things are turning a lot milder. The high pressure is repositioning over Germany and Poland, and out comes this long fetched southwesterly wind. The air originates from the Azores with this, gets dragged all the way up into the UK. So this brings some very high temperatures. Indeed, 17.0 was recorded in Carnarvon on the 11th. Absolutely incredible temperature. 17 degrees in the middle of December 2013. Another very, very mild day there. Very southerlies on the 11th through to the 12th as well. Just continuously mild with those southerly southwesterlies. Now into the middle of December 2013, it's starting to turn itself. The high pressure breakdown. It's clung on by its fingertips, but it's not going to be able to much longer. Look at the polar vortex that we've got going around Greenland. Deep purple colour setting up there, and in come these westerly winds, and this is the start of it. This is the start of the onslaught, really, through the middle of December 2013. Wet and windy weather begins to sweep in from off the Atlantic. Nothing overly dramatic at this stage, but certainly you get the idea that the polar vortex is strong and intense around Greenland and Iceland, and these areas of low pressure are bringing further bouts of wind and rain in off the Atlantic here as we're moving into towards the Christmas period, turning quite stormy with spells of wet and windy weather sweeping through. Strong west-southwesterly winds, gale force winds regularly battering the country, bringing several bouts of severe gales and heavy rain. We're running up towards Christmas now. The eve of Christmas Eve looking very stormy. This is 23rd December. I remember this one well. This is a very stormy day. Lots of heavy rain, gale force winds sweeping in across the country. Really tight packed ice bars with severe gales battering all parts of the country. Have a listen to some of these numbers then. So it was one of the wettest Decembers recorded, so with England and Wales having an average of 133 millimetres, 136% of average. Sterling recorded 648 millimetres during this month. Absolutely incredible. Sunshine was at 114% of average, so did okay for sunshine, as is often the case with wet and windy months, because the rain bands blow through very quickly when you have such a strong jet stream. The pressure at Stornoway early on Christmas Eve was just 936.8 millibars, the lowest in Britain since December 1886. Wow, incredible. Absolutely amazing, that. So properly stormy, properly wet and windy in the storm August. This is from Christmas, I think. In the storm, a gust of 93 miles per hour was recorded at Altnahara. The wettest day was the 23rd, this day, when we had 155.4 millimetres falling at Dartmoor, on Dartmoor. Storms meant that many properties, particularly in Surrey, Sussex and Kent, suffered serious flooding. And many places were without electricity for Christmas, unfortunately, of course. And there's another storm on the 27th of December, which gives 109 mile per hour gusts at Carnarvon. So really stormy running up towards Christmas. The storm, look at that, that's Christmas Eve storm just battering the country on Christmas Eve. Look how tight packed those ice bars are in the northern country. Severe gales causing those disruptions to power supplies, and our lowest December pressure readings since 1886. Absolutely unbelievable. That's Christmas Day 2013, and very unsettled. I think it's not quite as bad as some of the days before and after. It's a little bit calmer, but showers and longer spells of rain, mild as well, and just very, very unsettled. And then Boxing Day, we've got low pressure lurking out to our west. That gives us another real storm as we get through into 27th, as Trevor Harley said. Center pressure of that is going down to 950 millibars, I think. So another battering of severe gales and heavy rain lashing the country there on the 27th, and it just carries on really up towards the new year. Further bouts of wind and rain sweeping in from off the Atlantic Ocean here as we move into New Year's Eve. We're looking unsettled with low pressure out to our west, and so that brings to an end a very, very unsettled and stormy December, a very wet December too, but worse is to come in January. So this is January 2014, and Trevor Harley writes with this one. A very cyclonic month, wet and windy with notable gales and some catastrophic flooding in the south. There's nothing else written for January 2014 from Trevor Harley, but there's probably nothing else left to say other than it has a centering temperature of 5.7, so it is a very mild January. New Year's Day, stormy. 2nd of January, a little bit calmer. 3rd of January, stormy. Next bout of severe gales and heavy rain sweeping in from off the Atlantic. Little bit less stormy on the 4th. 5th of January, look at that. Dartmoor, Loamy Atlantic. Next bout of severe gales and heavy rain is sweeping in. That's the 6th of January 2014. Again, looking wet and windy. Low pressure in the Atlantic down to around 955 millibars. Severe gales lashing the country there. You get the idea. More wind and rain there on the 7th of January 2014. So wet, so windy through that opening week of January 2014. Little bit more in way of higher pressure here as we come into the 8th and the 9th. Slight little transient ridge. It's not going to do much for us, but does turn things maybe slightly less wet for a time during the second week of January 2014. Notice we're also building up some higher pressure across Scandinavia. Now, one of the things that makes this, I remember this very well, one of the things that makes this such a wet month is that we don't only have a very active Atlantic bringing continuous areas of low pressure in, we also have, rather unusually for this kind of month, also have quite a bit of high pressure over Scandinavia and Western Russia. We aren't all that far, actually, from having a cold easterly during this January. And so what happens is that these areas of low pressure, as they come up against this area of high pressure over Scandinavia, they just sort of stall and sit to the west of Ireland, and the weather fronts along weather fronts with these low pressures, along the low pressures, just come to a standstill over the country. So we don't push the weather fronts through very quickly, as you normally expect to do in a stormy month, and as we did in December 2013, the weather fronts zip through the country very quickly. In this scenario, the high pressure over Scandinavia, although not strong enough to bring the wind into the east and to deliver us cold weather, it is strong enough to stop the progress of the low pressures, to decelerate the low pressures, if you like, and cause the weather fronts to slow down. And so we have a very unusual pattern, really very cyclonic pattern, a very, very, very low pressure dominated pattern, but with a Scandinavian high causing all sorts of complications. So here we are on the 18th of January, for example. Again, low pressure just coming up against this Scandi high, and the weather fronts along it bring the bouts of rain. They're slowing up and becoming stuck. And so we have several days of just continuous rain. Look how close we are here on the 19th of getting the wind into the east via this Scandinavian high. We're very, very close to that, but we just don't quite do it. The Atlantic is just too powerful, but not powerful enough to flatten off the Scandi. So not powerful enough to push these low pressures through very quickly. And so the rainfall totals just mount and mount and mount as we go through this rather unusual January, I have to say, with many bouts of wind and rain sweeping in off the Atlantic, several bouts of stormy weather, several bouts of heavy rain. And look at that low pressure there on the 26th of January 2014. What is the central pressure with that? It's going to be down to around 930 millibars. I think it's hard to read what the central pressure is, but I reckon that's got to be going down to around 930 millibars. Very stormy there on the 26th of January 2014. Severe gales and more bouts of heavy rain too. And we end this January finally with that Scandinavian high actually beginning to win the battle. So about the second half of the month, the battle is on between the Scandinavian high and the low pressure in the Atlantic. And as we get to month's end, we do actually start to take the energy south and move that low pressure away to the south. So just for a while, during the closing days of January 2014, there is a hint that the wind is going to swing into the east. And I think we did even start bringing some slightly colder air to the east, actually, with that. But not for long. Look at this, last day of January 2014. You've guessed it, we've got another storm in the Atlantic, bringing the next batch of wind and rain sweeping in. And now that Scandinavian high is collapsing into southern Russia, and we won't have to worry about Scandis anymore. So let's move through into February. Here we go. This is February 2014, first day, and you've guessed it, low pressure bringing further bouts of wind and rain. This is a very mild month with central temperature of 6.2. Trevor Harley writes, the most cyclonic month on record. You're going to see some low pressure then with this. Most cyclonic month on record. So very windy, mild and wet. And yeah, just several bouts of rain. Let's go through it then. So stormy on the first day of February 2014. That's the 2nd of February, Candlemas Day. Again, low pressure is hinting at sort of bombing out in in the Atlantic. So another bout of stormy weather here for the 3rd of February 2014. There's another one. Look, another one to the south of Ireland on the 4th. That's bringing the next batch of stormy winds, severe gales and heavy rain sweeping in from off the Atlantic. Quite a southerly tracking jet stream. Now you'll notice the jet stream is sort of lining up from Canada down towards Spain. But there's no blocking, you see. There's no blocking to sort of push anything colder out and to send these low pressures southwards with the jet stream. So the low pressure just sort of blow up in the middle of the North Atlantic. Remember, there's a very cold winter taking place across northeastern America as well, which is also blowing up the jet stream while all this is going on. So here we go on the 6th of February. You've guessed it, the next low is just around the Bay of Biscay, starting to push northwards. That's going to bring the next batch of wind and rain in from the 6th through the 7th. Slight little transient ridge there on the 7th of February, but look at this, next low is out in the Atlantic. Where's that going? You know, 8th of February, stormy, deep low pressure in the Atlantic. The next batch of severe gales and heavy rain lashing the country there on the 8th of February 2014. So let's deal with some stats then. So Charlie writes, so minus there is going to be on the 24th of February when the London area reaches 14.9. The coldest night is going to be on the 17th when it gets down to minus 7.7 out in O'Hara. Remember, we got down to minus 8 in November. So November actually has the coldest night, the coldest temperature of the winter. And that's outside winter in the autumn. That's how mild this winter is. Trevor Harley writes, England and Wales rainfall averaged at 213% of average, making it the wettest February since 1990. There were severe gales on the 12th and the 14th. Overall, it was a sunny month, as I said. Very often with these stormy months, they are quite sunny months too, as the weather systems get pushed through so quickly. Although it was dull in the northwest of England across southwest Scotland, interestingly. So, 8th of February, very stormy there. Deep low pressure just west of the country. Wind and rain on the 9th of February, and maybe it's just a slight little transient bump there of high pressure around the 10th, but it's not going to last for very long. Into the 11th and the 12th, you've guessed it, the next batch of stormy weather's on the way. Trevor Hardy wrote about it. 12th of February, another severe storm lashing particularly England and Wales this time, and also Ireland too. Again, I would assume gusts of wind must be going at like 80, 90 miles an hour widely with that. Back to showers on the 13th of February, and then into the 14th. Look at this. It just never ends, doesn't it? The next deep low pressure brings us next batch of stormy weather. A Valentine's Day storm. The classic Valentine's Day storm for February 2014. Just continuous bouts of wind and rain, but at least it will be mild. Your roof may have been blown off. You may have a river flowing through your living room. But never mind, at least it will be mild, BBC. Right, we're going to be closing week of, I'm going to get myself into trouble. We're going to a closing week of February 2013. We're still at now, maybe not quite as stormy as it has been, but still further bouts of wind and rain sweeping in off the Atlantic. No sign of an end to the train, of a train wreckage of low pressures, really. And we're coming towards month's end. We're coming to the end of this absolutely horrendous, god-awful winter. We're still bringing in these deep areas of low pressure. Last day of the winter 2014 looks like that. Classically unsettled chart, really, with further bouts of rain. And even into March 2014, the unsettled weather goes on. Another deep low pressure here on the 2nd of March, bringing the next bout of wet and windy weather in with it. However, changes are coming. How do we get out of this? Let's see how we get out of this stormy pattern. So the 5th of March, still very intense polar vortex, but just beginning to get a little bit of a ridge going from the Azores high into the south. We haven't seen much high pressure since like the beginning of December, really. But finally, some higher pressure is starting to build. It's happening from the Azores So it's a mild ridge. March 2014 is a mild month with a central temperature of 7.6. So not really much in the way of cold weather. But we break out of this stormy pattern from the Azores high. That's our saviour here, building up from the southwest and sending a ridge into continental Europe, putting up very mild winds from the south and finally breaking us out of the unsettled weather. And look at this, 11th of March 2014, we're back under high pressure, something we have not been under since like the first half of December. What an onslaught it was, but finally we've broken out of it. We've gone into a much drier and a much warmer pattern as well, or I should say a warmer pattern but a much drier pattern with high pressure ruling the roost, and that's the end of it. That is the end of that horrendously wet, windy and stormy winter. We do not go back into particularly stormy weather again. Of course there is further bouts of wind and rain. Here we are, for example, on the 22nd of March, but we're not talking about those very intense windstorms and deep areas of low pressure that we had, you know, through most of the winter, and particularly like in late December and into January and through February. And actually get wind into the east here at the end of March 2014, but it's not a particularly cold easterly, and still a lot of high pressure domination really as we come to month's end. And so that's it, everybody. That is your historic video for winter 2013-14. Now, can you believe that is one of the most requested historic videos that I've ever had? People have been asking me to do a historic video for winter 2013-14 for such a long time. And I'm always amazed, you know, that people want to relive that. I certainly don't have fond memories of that winter at all. I was getting very poorly with my eyes at that time, and it was not a very good time personally. So that probably clouds my judgment a little bit about it. But anyway, there you go. People wanted to see it, and I've done it. So that is the winter of 2013-14. Thank you so much, everybody, for spending this time with me on this Easter Monday. Enjoy whatever's left of your Easter. Videos are going to be back to normal tomorrow at GavsWeatherVids for all of our regular vids, so keep checking back for those. And yeah, just enjoy the rest of your Easter Monday and the rest of your Easter weekend. So without further ado, well, I think it's time to wrap it up, isn't it? And go and recover from all of that. Thanks so much for watching. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your Easter. And bye for now.